Boston winter mornings are harsh. The wind blowing from Massachusetts Bay cut through the valleys between skyscrapers and rattled the windows of Mary Williams' apartment. Mary had been up since early morning working. As an architect, her reputation was excellent, and she needed to finish a new project proposal by tomorrow morning. The phone rang, and Mary looked up from her drawings. It was her mother. "Good morning, Mom." "Mary, can you come soon for the final preparations for Ashley's wedding?" Judith's voice had a hint of anxiety. "We also have the final fitting for your dress." Mary sighed deeply. "I know. I'm planning to come in the afternoon. I'd like you to come by 11 if possible. Ashley wants everyone together for brunch." "But, Mom, I have a project deadline." "Work talk again?" Her mother's voice immediately turned cold. "This is your sister's once-in-a-lifetime wedding. You always prioritize work." "That's not true," Mary objected, but she heard her mother's sigh. "Anyway, please come as soon as you can. Dad and Ashley are waiting." The call ended, and Mary quietly put down her phone. Looking out the window, she remembered how since her teenage years, she had worked part-time at fast food restaurants to help with family expenses and earned money for her architecture studies. Meanwhile, her sister Ashley had received full financial support from her parents, attended a prestigious university, and now worked as a manager at a luxury boutique. A new message arrived on Mary's phone. It was from Ashley. "Mary, don't be late today. Jason's mother is coming too, so lunch with the whole family is really important." Seeing Jason Harrison's name, Mary flinched momentarily. Ashley's fiancé was a man Mary had met during her college years. It was a fact nobody knew, and something she could never tell Ashley in particular. As Mary headed for the bathroom, she thought about her complicated relationship with her family. Her parents, especially her father Robert, had always favored her sister. Even when Mary succeeded in her architectural career, the topic quickly ended, and conversation shifted to Ashley's latest achievements or plans. While showering, Mary thought about the uneasy atmosphere she had felt recently. Since Ashley's engagement announcement, she felt her parents' attitude toward her had grown even colder. Phone calls decreased, and her opinions were increasingly disregarded at family gatherings. After getting ready, Mary left to pick up her wedding dress. In the car, she thought about her success and estranged relationship with her family. Despite being one of Boston's most highly regarded architects, in her family's eyes, she always seemed to be viewed as cold and a workaholic. When she arrived at the dress shop, Ashley and her mother were already waiting. Mary didn't miss how Ashley's expression stiffened slightly. "Finally, you're here," Ashley's voice sounded cheerful, but her eyes weren't smiling. "Jason's sister will be here soon. I think you two will get along." Mary smiled awkwardly. "Yes, I'm looking forward to it." In the fitting room, Mary tried on her dress. Looking at herself in the mirror, she thought something was off. Not just her family's attitude, but something unsettling about the entire wedding. She was particularly concerned about the subtle glances Ashley gave her whenever Jason's name came up. "Mary, have you met Jason before?" Ashley suddenly asked. Mary's heart stopped for a moment. "No, why?" "Just wondering." "When he heard your name, his reaction was a bit strange." "Must be your imagination," Mary maintained her composure. "How would we have met?" Ashley said nothing and returned her gaze as if satisfied with Mary's answer. However, Mary's anxiety only grew. Did Jason remember her? And if he did, had he said anything to Ashley? As Mary took off her dress, she resolved to investigate the source of tension in the family before the wedding. Something was happening. And she distinctly felt that this something involved her. On the wedding day, luxury cars lined up in front of St. Patrick's Church in Boston, with elegantly dressed people arriving one after another. Mary arrived at the venue slightly late. She had sent apologetic messages to her parents who had called her several times that morning, but there was no reply. At the church entrance, Mary took a deep breath. Dressed in an emerald green gown, she composed herself. Like presenting an architectural project, this too was a kind of performance. "Miss Mary Williams?" A young staff member approached her. "Your family's seats are this way." Mary was surprised to see the indicated seats. They were far from the front row where parents and relatives sat, positioned instead along the side of the church. "Excuse me, I'm the bride's sister. Shouldn't I be in the family section?" The staff looked confused. "I'm sorry. The seating chart specifies this." Mary nodded quietly and headed to the assigned seat. Looking around the church, she saw her father and mother chatting with relatives in the front row. Although she must have been in their line of sight, her parents made no effort to look at her. During the 30 minutes before the ceremony began, Mary tried to approach her parents, but someone always intervened, interrupting conversations. Finally, she managed to speak to her mother. "Mom, my seat seems to have been changed." "It's not with the family." Judith glanced at her daughter and said coldly, "Ashley decided the seating. It's her special day, so we should respect her wishes." "But why just me?" "Mary," her mother's voice was low and restrained. "Today is Ashley's day. Don't cause problems." Mary stepped back at her mother's words. Problems? Was she suggesting that Mary had caused some kind of trouble? "I'd like to greet Ashley." "Where is she?" Mary asked. "She's very busy now," her mother answered without meeting her eyes. "There's so much to prepare before the ceremony begins." Robert, her father, approached. His expression hardened subtly when he saw Mary. "Robert, Mary wants to greet Ashley," Judith told her husband. "That's not possible now," Robert's voice was colder than usual. "Ashley is busy with preparations. Besides..." He broke off. "Besides what?" Mary prompted. "Nothing," her father said. "Return to your seat. The ceremony is about to begin." Mary left her parents and went outside the church. Something was wrong. She took out her cell phone and sent a message to Ashley. "Are you in the dressing room? I'd like to say hello." The reply came immediately, "I'm busy now." After the ceremony, Mary sighed. Outside the church, she happened to meet Mike, Jason's best friend. Mary remembered Mike's name and face from her college days with Jason. "Hello, Mike." Mary called out. "I'm Mary, Ashley's sister." Mike looked surprised and stared at Mary. "Oh, yes, hello." His reaction was visibly awkward. "It's been a while," Mary said. "Have you been friends with Jason since college?" The color drained from Mike's face. "College? Did you also, with Jason at college?" "No, I don't know him," Mary quickly said. "I just meant, he talks about you a lot." "Oh, I see," Mike seemed relieved. "Yes, we've been friends for a long time." The conversation continued unnaturally, with Mike checking his watch repeatedly. "Excuse me. I need to find Jason," he said, hastily departing. Mary was confused by Mike's reaction. He seemed to be hiding something. As she walked back toward the church, she overheard Jason and Mike's voices from behind a small terrace. "Did you talk to her?" Jason's voice was tense. "Yes, just briefly," Mike answered. "But I don't think she knows anything. At least, she didn't act like it." "Good," Jason sighed. "Ashley thinks she knows something. That's why she's so nervous." "You really didn't tell her anything?" Mike asked. "About college?" Of course not, Jason's voice rose slightly. If I did, everything would be ruined. But she might find out someday. We'll deal with that when it happens, Jason said. Just don't cause any trouble today. Especially, stay away from Mary. Mary caught her breath. They were clearly talking about her. And Jason was hiding something from college. She quietly left and returned to the church. She tried to piece together the fragmentary information in her head, but couldn't see the complete picture. Jason was hiding from Ashley that he knew Mary. And that was making Ashley nervous. But why? Just before the ceremony began, Mary took her seat. Her mind was confused, but her expression remained calm. The church pipe organ resounded, and all attendees stood up. While waiting for the bride's entrance, Mary looked around the venue. Her parents' tense expressions, Jason's anxious eyes, and the curious glances directed at her from several people mixed among the guests. Not understanding what was happening, Mary watched Ashley enter on their father's arm. Her sister's face was smiling, but her eyes were cold and never once looked in Mary's direction. After the ceremony, the newlyweds exited down the central aisle of the church. Ashley's face was radiant with happiness, but Mary didn't miss how her expression hardened momentarily as they passed Mary's seat. At the luxury hotel ballroom serving as the reception venue, many guests had already gathered. Upon entering, Mary checked her seat at the reception desk. Williams, Mary. The reception staff checked the seating chart and showed a slightly confused expression. Ms. Mary, your seat is over there at table 23. Mary looked in the indicated direction. It was a small table in the corner of the room, furthest from the head table. As she approached the table, Mary realized it was 4 single guests, people who came alone, neither family nor part of the newlyweds' friend groups. This must be a mistake, Mary murmured to herself. However, the place card on the table clearly had her name printed on it. Mary slowly took her seat. The other people at the table directed curious glances at her. You're Ashley's sister, aren't you? An elderly woman asked. Why are you sitting here? Mary smiled. Yes, I am. There seems to be some confusion with the seating arrangements, the woman said meaningfully. I've heard a bit about you. Must be difficult. Mary frowned. About me? What have you heard? I'd rather not repeat gossip, the woman said and changed the subject. Mary's anxiety only increased. It seemed some rumor about her was circulating among the guests. After dinner, the toast speeches began. Father Robert stood up and blessed his daughter and her husband with moving words. Ashley, you are our light. We are proud that you have always put family first, being a loving and caring daughter. Mary stiffened slightly at her father's words. The phrase, put family first, seemed to contain some implied criticism. As if to say, unlike her. As cake-cutting time approached, Mary wanted to offer congratulations to her sister. She approached the head table. Ashley was talking intimately with Jason, but when she saw Mary approaching, her expression clouded. Ashley, congratulations, Mary said with a genuine smile. But Ashley didn't even meet her eyes and remained silent. She turned to her husband and whispered something. Jason looked anxiously at Mary. Ashley, didn't you hear me? Mary called again. I'm wishing you happiness. Ashley turned a cold gaze toward Mary. Thank you, her voice was icy. Would you go back to your seat? We're about to take photos. Mary couldn't hide her hurt expression. Of course, she said quietly and left. Feeling her heart pounding, Mary headed for the bar. Her head was spinning. She ordered a ginger ale and drank it quietly in a corner of the venue, trying to make sense of the situation. Are you Mary? Turning to an unfamiliar voice, a young woman was standing there. "I'm Carol, Jason's cousin." "Nice to meet you," Mary said. "Is it true you tried to seduce your sister's fiancé?" Carol asked bluntly. Mary nearly dropped her drink. "Excuse me. Everyone's talking about it," Carol leaned in. "That you had a relationship with Jason in college and now you're trying to win him back. That's a complete lie." Mary's voice trembled. "Who would say such a thing?" "Ashley," Carol shrugged. "She told the whole family. That's why everyone's avoiding you." Mary felt her world collapsing. Her sister spreading such lies about her. So that's why her family was avoiding her and being cold. "Excuse me," Mary said in a shaking voice and headed for the ladies' room. In the bathroom, Mary took deep breaths in front of the mirror. Her face was pale. Touching her cheek, she realized tears were flowing. The door opened, and a woman in an elegant dress entered. She flinched momentarily upon seeing Mary. "Oh, you must be Mary," the woman said. "I'm Eleanor, Jason's sister." Mary wiped away her tears. "Nice to meet you. Are you okay?" Eleanor asked. However, her voice lacked genuine concern. "Yes," Mary lied. "Just a bit tired." "I see," Eleanor said, beginning to touch up her makeup. "I've heard about you. That you abandoned your family and only built your career." Mary looked at her in surprise. "What?" "Ashley told us," Eleanor said coldly. "When she was young, you left home and never came back, right? Never took care of your sister." Mary trembled with anger and sadness. "That's completely untrue. I left home for college, but I came back every weekend. And..." "Fine," Eleanor waved her hand. "It's none of my business. Just don't hurt Ashley today." After Eleanor left, Mary entered a stall and closed the door. There, she quietly cried. Ashley was spreading complete lies. Far from abandoning her family, Mary had supported the household while attending college and dipped into her own savings to support her family when her parents lost their jobs. Ashley was able to attend a prestigious university partly because Mary covered some of the tuition. Taking out her cell phone, Mary opened an old photo. It was from college, showing her and Jason in the same classroom. They had indeed known each other, but there was no romantic relationship. It was true that Jason had shown interest in her, but Mary had avoided romance due to her family responsibilities. Everything connected. Ashley had learned about Mary and Jason's past connection and, out of jealousy, was spreading lies. And by telling her family Mary abandoned the family, she was tarnishing her reputation. Leaving the restroom, Mary's expression was filled with determination. She headed to the cloakroom and collected her coat. "Leaving already?" the cloakroom attendant asked in surprise. "Yes," Mary answered quietly. "I just remembered something I need to do." Before exiting the venue, Mary looked back one last time. At the head table, Ashley and Jason were cutting the cake, smiling for photographs. Her parents watched proudly. No one seemed to notice Mary was missing. Mary left the hotel and stepped out into the Boston streets where snow had begun to fall. She hailed a taxi and gave her apartment address. As the taxi pulled away, Mary endured the pain in her chest and thought. Her family didn't know her truth. They preferred to believe the lies. Arriving at her apartment, Mary sat alone and sorted through the truth. Her sacrifices and contributions had been ignored and distorted by her family. And now, she was completely isolated. Mary's apartment was wrapped in stillness. She poured herself a glass of wine and sank deep into her sofa. She was still wearing her dress. Outside the window, Boston's night scenery spread out, with snow continuing to fall quietly. With her cell phone on the coffee table, she was lost in thought. All the evidence to prove the truth was there: records of money transfers to her family, proof of payments for Ashley's university tuition, records of helping with her parents' mortgage payments. For the past 15 years, she had continued to support her family financially. But those facts had been painted over by Ashley's lies. Mary's cell phone began to ring. Ashley's name was displayed on the screen. She ignored the call and continued to drink her wine quietly. Next came calls from her parents. And surprisingly, from Jason too. Now they notice, Mary murmured to herself. The phone didn't stop ringing, and messages kept arriving. Mary finally picked up her cell phone and checked the messages. She read a message from Mike. "I want to apologize for what happened at the engagement party. I was drunk and talked too much about Jason's college days. I revealed that you were his first love. Now, the venue is in chaos." Mary caught her breath. Mike had revealed the truth. But that couldn't be all. The phone rang again. This time from an unknown number. "Hello?" Mary answered. "Mary." An unfamiliar woman's voice came through. "This is Eleanor, Jason's sister. We met in the restroom. What do you want?" Mary's voice was cold. "I want to apologize to you." Eleanor's voice sounded genuinely sorry. "I didn't know the truth about your contributions to your family. When my mother collapsed at the venue, Jason's friend Mike, who was drunk, started talking about various things. That you financially supported your family, especially covering Ashley's education costs, and yet Ashley was lying." "What?" Mary was surprised. "Mike also talked about college days. That Jason was crazy about you. But you turned him down because you had family responsibilities," Eleanor continued. "My mother collapsed from shock, and we wanted to know the truth. Jason admitted hiding his past from Ashley, and Ashley, she had to admit her lies too." Mary was speechless. Eleanor continued. "The venue is in chaos now. Both families are in conflict. Jason's father is furious. Ashley has broken down in tears, and your parents are unable to accept the truth. What can I do?" Mary asked quietly. "Please, come back," Eleanor pleaded. "Our family wants to know the truth. We want to apologize for misunderstanding you." Mary hung up. She turned off her cell phone and stood by the window. Emotions were swirling. Anger, sadness, and a strange sense of liberation. With the truth revealed, she laughed quietly. That night, Mary decided to stay at a hotel. The next morning, she opened her laptop and wrote a long letter to her family. It was a true record from her college days to the present. She attached records of money transfers for Ashley's education costs, payments for her parents' medical expenses, and most importantly, evidence that she had repeatedly put her own dreams on hold for her family. In the hotel room, Mary organized all the truths. In college, Jason had indeed confessed to her. However, at that time, Mary was working to supplement her parents' unstable income while attending school, and romance was the last thing on her mind. She gently declined Jason, and since then, they had kept their distance. When Ashley met Jason, he didn't talk about his past with Mary. And when Ashley somehow learned that fact, she began spreading lies out of jealousy. After sending the letter, Mary turned on her cell phone. It immediately began to ring. This time it was from her father. "Mary," her father's voice was trembling. "We read your letter." "And?" Mary asked calmly. "Unbelievable," her father said. "Is all this true? That you did so much for us?" "It's all true," Mary answered. "I've done my best for the family. But you always prioritized Ashley and never saw my efforts. I understand, her father's voice was filled with regret. We were blind. And we believed Ashley's words too much. How is Ashley? Mary asked. She's confused, her father answered. Her relationship with Jason is also in crisis. His family is furious knowing the truth and says they're withdrawing their blessing for the marriage. Mary sighed. I don't want revenge on Ashley. I just wanted the truth to be known. Please, Mary, her father pleaded. Won't you come back home? We need to talk, all of us. After a long silence, Mary answered, I can't right now. I need time. After hanging up, Mary thought deeply. She didn't want to hurt her family. But by telling the truth, she felt liberated herself. For years, she had sacrificed for her family, and in return, what she got was misunderstanding and coldness. Mary stepped out onto the balcony and breathed deeply in Boston's morning air. The future was uncertain. She didn't know if she could repair her relationship with her family. But one thing was certain. She would no longer live in lies. Truth sometimes hurts, but that is the beginning of healing. Boston's autumn was beautiful. The trees along the Charles River had turned red and yellow, and fallen leaves covered the walking paths in the park. Mary sat on a bench by the river, holding a coffee. Mary. Turning around, her mother Judith was standing there. She looked older than before. The color of fatigue had deepened under her eyes. May I sit down? Judith asked. Mary nodded and indicated the space next to her on the bench. For a while, the two looked at the river without saying anything. Ashley was supposed to come today, Judith said quietly. But she hesitated at the last moment. I understand, Mary replied. Over the past 6 months, she had gradually resumed contact with her family, but she hadn't yet met Ashley directly. She's receiving counseling, Judith continued. She's beginning to understand that her actions came from jealousy and anxiety. She said that since childhood, she wanted to be as smart as you. Mary was surprised. Me? But she was always the parents' favorite. That might have been the problem, Judith sighed. We spoiled her too much. She didn't have your strength or independence. So, she developed complex feelings toward you. And Jason? Mary asked. They're still together, Judith answered. But the relationship is difficult. Jason's family hasn't fully accepted Ashley, and he himself is disappointed in her behavior. They're receiving couples counseling. Mary thought as she drank her coffee. She hadn't wanted revenge. She had only wanted the truth to be known. And Dad? Mary asked. He's reflecting, Judith said quietly. We were blind. We took your sacrifices for granted. Because you always took responsibility, we didn't realize how much we benefited under that. Mary took her mother's hand. The anger hadn't completely disappeared, but she felt that a door to understanding had opened. Ashley has started telling her friends the truth, Judith said. At first, she was embarrassed, but now she acknowledges her mistakes and talks about everything you did for us. Clouds drifted away, and the autumn sunlight enveloped them. Complete forgiveness will take time, Mary said honestly. But I'll try. We can't ask for more than that, Judith smiled. That night, Mary returned to her apartment and stood by the window, gazing at the city lights. Her cell phone rang, and a message arrived. It was from Ashley. Mary, I'm sorry. I didn't have the courage to meet. But someday I want to have the courage to apologize. You were a wonderful sister. I didn't deserve that. Mary stared at the message for a long time. Then she replied. Ashley, contact me when you're ready. I'll be here. Mary put down the phone and exhaled deeply. Family bonds are complex. Blood ties are just the beginning of a relationship, and she understood that true family is built on honesty and mutual respect. The path to complete reconciliation might still be long, but on the foundation of truth, they were beginning to build a new relationship little by little. It wasn't perfect, but at least it was genuine. Stars began to shine in Boston's night sky. Mary smiled as she thought about the future.